Donald Trump is not only a danger to us here in the United States, Donald Trump is a danger to the world. And this is just yet another example of me bringing to you what Donald Trump is promising you that he will do.
Well, it was a hell of a news week again. I have hundreds of pages, literally hundreds, of court rulings and transcripts and special counsel reports. But some of the most significant things that happened this week seem to have already somehow moved through the news cycle in favor of endless, and I mean endless, coverage of whether a man who is 4 years older than his opponent is simply too old to be president. So we're going to spend most of our time on the things that actually warrant our focus. On Thursday, for a little over 2 hours, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on whether or not former President Donald Trump can be kicked off the Colorado ballot because, of course, of his role as part of the insurrection on January 6th. Now, no matter what happens from here and how they rule, that's a thing that actually happened, and it's historic in and of itself. And tomorrow, after a stinging defeat from the appeals court, the Trump team is expected to ask the Supreme Court to hear his case about presidential immunity. Now, remember, his lawyer's claim is that he could have SEAL Team 6 assassinated his political rival. As long as Congress is cool with it, then he would be immune from prosecution. That's their argument on that one. And yes, there was also the special counsel report on President Biden from renowned neurologist and psychologist Robert Hur. Lots of school he attended. We will get to that too, I promise, because I have lots of thoughts to share, I promise you. And truth be told, we had planned to start the show today by talking about the Supreme Court and all of the legal developments here this week, because there were a lot and they're all important. And we're still going to discuss all of it today at length. But we decided late last night that it was important to start today with something alarming Donald Trump said at a rally yesterday in South Carolina. Because it's far too easy to be numb to it all. Far too easy to ignore it. All the crazy things he says, often within the same speeches. But Trump is telling us what he's going to do. And it's important to listen. And also talk about what the impact would actually be of what he's telling us. Now, before we play it, here's a little background. Trump has, of course, long been a big critic and skeptic of NATO, the alliance that's held the world order together for 3/4 of a century. It's been pretty vital, and which came to the defense of the United States, remember, shortly after 9/11. His campaign website even contains this vague but very ominous sentence: "We have to finish the process we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission." Now, why does that matter? Well, first of all, it has led to fears among our European allies, key partners around the world, that if Trump wins, he's going to pull out of NATO altogether. During a time, and this is vitally important, in which a Russian dictator is waging the first ground war in Europe since World War II. But yesterday, in South Carolina, Trump took things about a mile further than that. He said if NATO countries don't pay more, the U.S. will break its commitment to protect them against a Russian attack. And he said he would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want to those countries. Here it is.
NATO was busted until I came along. I said, everybody's going to pay. They said, well, if we don't pay, are you still going to protect us? I said, absolutely not. They couldn't believe the answer. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. Now, look, he says a lot of stuff, but that's the Republican frontrunner for the President of the United States, signaling to the Kremlin that he'll give them a free hand to invade their European neighbors if he's given a second term. And as commander-in-chief, he would have the United States stand back and watch it happen. Let's be clear about what that would mean. Any attack on a NATO ally would trigger a massive show of force by its members across the world. That's because under Article 5, an attack on one is considered an attack on all. Just take it from the NATO Secretary General, who responded to Trump's comments with this, quote, any suggestion that allies will not defend each other undermines all of our security, including that of the U.S., and puts American and European soldiers at increased risk. And Donald Trump is not only saying he wouldn't come to the defense of a NATO ally, he's inviting Russia to attack them. I just cannot tell you how terrifying that type of language is for our allies, sitting and hearing and listening to what he's saying. and also how happy it must make Vladimir Putin. That's more than the Kremlin could have asked for, even from Donald Trump.
I'll be voting for Joe Biden in November of 2024. I'll see y'all later.